Today I want to share with you a few tips and tricks about my least favorite gardening chore, and that's hardening off your seedlings. And while hardening off your seedlings is not rocket science, it is a very important step and you do not want to skip it because you don't want all of this last 2-3 months worth of work to go to waste. A quick explanation of what is hardening off your seedlings, and basically that's just getting your seedlings used to the outdoors. They've been inside growing in like a very controlled environment, temperatures, not any wind. It is recommended to put a fan on, but again, that's always going to kind of be the same direction. So we need to get these little seedlings, like they're little babies, used to the outside where they're going to be under more extreme conditions. First, let's talk about the sun. So your seedlings are going to need to build up basically like sunscreen. They're going to get thicker skin. You can see here, these were the leaves for before they were hardened off, and they are just really, really thin, puny, whereas these ones that have grown since they were started to be hardened off, they are much thicker. Of course, I hardened these off and planted them a little while. So all of these leaves, coming in are all going to be nice and thick and used to that sun. Same thing here. If we go over to the broccoli, you can see these were the leaves that didn't really make it. They got damaged by the sun. They're dying off, but all the new stuff coming in is good. And that's what we're mostly concerned about. So it's recommended to put your seedlings out for a half hour to start, and every day grease it like an hour, and then 2 hours, 3 hours, up to about a week to get them used to the sun. But this doesn't always help, because what if you have a cloudy day? And actually, this is one of my first tips, and that is to put your seedlings out on a cloudy day, because you can put them out for 3 to 4 hours on a cloudy day. I feel it kind of gives them that boost. They get a little bit more of the exposure to the elements without being scorched by the sun. Another thing I will do is utilize shady spaces. So let's say I wanted to be hardening this guy off, but he hadn't been outside before. You could just go put him down here, and it can hang out in the shade. It's still getting some light, but it's not going to be scorched by that sun. Of course, you have to be careful because the sun does move throughout the day, so it will get some at some point potentially. You just have to know how your sun kind of moves across your yard. I also have this shelf here that I've put outside of my greenhouse, and this is actually shaded all morning, and it only gets the sun in the afternoon, so it's a great spot that I can put things out in the morning to get that exposure to the elements, but not the bright sun until the afternoon. This leads me into my second tip, which is to put the area where you're going to be hardening off your seedlings near where you're growing them inside. Because you're starting all these seedlings in the spring, but now you have all of these things that you're going to have to haul in and out of a million times, it feels like. So by having it nice and close, you're able to minimize those trips and steps. And actually over here you see is where I have my other hardening off table. And that's just been really, really great to be able to be really close to where I'm growing things. I actually have a bunch of stuff I've put on this bed because I'm not growing anything in there. I only got a few of my garlic to come up, so I can use this bed. I'm thinking actually we were going to do another bed here, but I might just make it all like a big table around. I could put pots on there in the summer, we'll see. But yes, having that nice and close to where your stuff is growing to be able to trample it in and out a million times really saves time. If you're running short on time and your seedlings are just greatly outgrowing their pots and you need to get them planted without hardening them off fully, a little tip you can do is once you've planted it is to cover it or shade it from the sun for part of the day. So I actually have this here. It's actually just like a netting from a trampoline. So we're going to be able to use that to cover up all of this area here. If I needed to, I could just throw it up over there. I could plant all my stuff out and then just put that on and off in order to be able to shelter it from the sun to harden it off that way. Of course, you can get boards or boxes to block the sun kind of from them. Just be careful they don't get squished if something falls on them. Okay, my last little tip in regards to hardening off to the sun, we're going to talk about the wind here in a second, is that if you are starting seedlings at this time of year, put them outside. Here I have some melons and squash, and over here I have some more seedlings. And what I will do is I will put these out during the day as long as it's warm enough. So basically it's like they're growing outside, but I will just put them in at night, because while these things can handle the daytime temperatures, the melons don't like it if it gets below 10 degrees. And we're still getting nights where it's like 2-3 degrees. So they can live outside during the day. They're getting used to the sun, not a problem. And I just put them in at night. And then as soon as we get those nice nights, I'll be able to plant them out and not be worried about the sun or the wind, because wind burn is a thing when it comes to plants, and they can really actually be damaged just as bad by the wind as the sun, I have found. So one of my little tips here is to put them on the ground. I've got these guys all down here hardening off. And as you can see, the tomatoes are a little bit leggy, so they will not stand up to a really heavy wind. But I've got them kind of blocked in here. I've got them tucked in with the bed. It's got this stuff on that side. Yes, see the mess everywhere. That's what gardens look like. But we got everything kind of blocked. So the wind is not getting them too much right here. You can see they're getting a little bit of a breeze, but it's going to be able to protect them from those really heavy breezes. Like up here on the table, there'll be a lot of a stronger breeze. And this last little tip I want to share is to my future self and your future self possibly, and that is to only start what you have to start. By starting all these other seedlings inside that potentially could be started outside, yes, you are getting those 2-3 extra weeks, but also you're giving yourself a lot of extra work. So if you don't want to have all that extra work, you can go ahead and maybe make that trade-off and wait a little bit and just plant the seeds directly in the ground. Of course, this won't work for things like tomatoes and peppers and those type of things. So it is inevitable. We are going to have to harden things off. But by using these little tips and tricks, it'll make it a lot easier for you. And you can get all of your seedlings hardened off and planted into the garden with much success. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.